It is currently January of 2026, and to this date, I've been on 141 different roller coasters. I haven't done one of these lists of my favorite roller coasters in a long time. I believe the last one I did was in December of 2020. So I've ridden quite a few new ones since I've done that list, and of course, my list has changed a lot. These videos are pretty self-explanatory. These are my personal favorite coasters I've been on. Before I get into my top 15, I'm just going to list off 5 of my honorable mentions that fill the number 20 to number 16 spots currently. At number 20, I have Verbolten at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This, in my opinion, is an incredibly underrated ride by enthusiasts. I'm not sure why a lot of people don't really talk about this ride. I thought it'd be a fun little family coaster, with a couple launches and thrilling dark sections and whatnot, but Verbolten really surprised me in a good way. Raven at Holiday World. Now, Holiday World is a park I desperately need to get back to. I only went there once in 2015. I'll hopefully be changing that this year. But I pretty well remember my few rides I got on the Raven. This ride was such an incredible little monster of a wooden coaster. Incredibly well paced, sprawling through the woods. It's a pretty short ride, but it packs a punch. Afterburn at Carowinds, one of my favorite B&M inverts. It's just such a powerful ride. Once again, not the longest ride, but what it does extremely well. Siren's Curse at Cedar Point. Of course, this was new for 2025. Vekoma Tilt Coaster. I cannot believe I have a Vekoma Tilt Coaster at my home park. This is a fantastic ride in just about every way. I do think it would have been much more well suited at a different park. Another park certainly could have really used a ride like this, but I'm really not complaining that you got it at Cedar Point. Very top-notch ride for sure. Last of the honorable mentions, we have Mystic Timbers at Kings Island. This is one powerhouse of a GCI. This thing hauls from start to finish. It still runs incredibly well. Mystic Timbers is smooth, has tons of airtime, great pacing. It's not too long, which I think does work to its advantage as it's able to hold that pacing throughout. Fantastic ride. You have to get on this every time you go to Kings Island. And coming at the number 15 spot, we have Thunderhead at Dollywood, another incredible GCI. Now, when I went to Dollywood in 2019, Thunderhead was actually running very rough. It was over the top rough, almost bordering on too much. I love wooden coasters. I can tolerate a lot when it comes to roughness in wooden coasters, so I still could see through with what this ride did well, and I still enjoyed it a lot. But I hear that these days Thunderhead is thankfully running much smoother because they've retracted it. Can't wait to get back on this thing. Number 14, Millennium Force at Cedar Point. Still a fantastic ride. Obviously, it's still not the best Giga. It did get overhyped for a long time. I feel like that's kind of petered out in recent years. But this is still one of the most iconic roller coasters out there. Probably my favorite first drop of all time. It's definitely up there. Millennium Force still gives an incredible ride. Orion at Kings Island in a number 13 spot. Orion is a fantastic Giga coaster. For all the hate it gets, I feel it's very unwarranted. It's incredibly smooth, has some really good airtime, fantastic speed. Even though it is a little bit shorter in ride duration compared to some other Gigas, it still has well over 5,000 feet of track. It has about 50 seconds of prime ride time. It's really not a short ride, even though people like to say that. One of the best rides at Kings Island for sure. Number 12, Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom. Lightning Run just blew me away when I rode it in August 2023. This is like a spiritual RMC. That's what I like to refer to it as. Even though it's a chance coaster, it very much feels like an RMC in the best ways possible. Storm Chaser, or Wind Chaser as it's now called, actually left me feeling pretty underwhelmed. It's by far the least favorite RMC I've been on. It was still a really good ride, but for all the amazing things I heard about it, it left me feeling pretty underwhelmed. I heard a lot of amazing things about Lightning Run going into it as well, but Lightning Run absolutely blew me away on all the rides I got. There definitely needs to be more of these types of Chance GTX hypers out there because these rides are incredible. At number 11, Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. Phantom's Revenge, the aerodynamics mega looper, that got converted into a powerhouse airtime machine by Morgan. This ride is one of a kind. I'm so glad this ride exists. It is a little bit too short in my opinion, but this is another one of those rides that is just so intense and just jam-packed with amazing ejector airtime that it doesn't really leave you wanting much more. Like, yeah, it'd be nice if there was like a couple more airtime hills at the end, but I don't think they could have really done a whole lot else with this plot of land they had. But what they did with Phantom's Revenge was absolutely stellar. Not to mention, these are some of my favorite trains of all time. These restraints are so comfortable. And starting off the top 10, Diamondback at Kings Island. Some of you that have been watching my channel for a long time might be aware that I'm a huge fan of Diamondback. I've always been a huge fan of Diamondback ever since I first rode it in 2019. And that continues to this day. Diamondback is absolutely my favorite ride at Kings Island. Incredibly smooth, has tons of amazing floater airtime, good layout throughout. It does die off a little bit. I mean, after you have that mid-course brake run, it definitely peters out towards the end. But even those last couple hills are still pretty solid. Number 9, Ravine Flyer 2 at Waldameer. Coaster that got me started off on YouTube. This was the very first video I made, a review of Ravine Flyer 2, as cringy as it was. But I'm still a huge fan of Ravine Flyer 2. The first time I rode it was in 2009, and I've rode it countless times since then. Ravine Flyer 2 is just balls to the wall the whole way through. Really good airtime, amazing pacing, great use of the terrain. Sort of like a mini Voyage, and I love everything about it. Still running incredibly well too. They take really good care of this ride. Number 8, Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Pantheon definitely blew me away first time I rode it. Visited BGW in July of 2025. I got a few rides on Pantheon, front, back, middle. Very nice trains. The layout's really good. Couple really surprising pops of airtime. Very intense ride. Definitely would be nice if they could refresh it and give it some of the decent theming that it actually deserves, especially since it's been several years that it's been open now. Hopefully they get around to that at some point, but that notwithstanding, Pantheon is an absolutely incredible ride by Intamin. And speaking of Intamin, at number 7 we have Maverick at Cedar Point. After I rode Pantheon a couple times, I thought about maybe putting it above Maverick, but ultimately I really just couldn't do that. I have so much history with Maverick. I've been riding it ever since it opened in 2007. I've gotten countless rides on it, and it's just a super intense ride from start to finish. It never stops. In fact, it just gets more intense as it goes. I mean, this is another one of those rides that I'm so glad that Cedar Fair decided to build this thing. It is one of a kind. There's other Blitz coasters out there, but the Intamin Blitz coasters vary quite a bit from installation to installation. Maverick's a really special ride. Definitely one you need to experience if you're really into intense rides. Number 6, Twisted Timbers at Kings Dominion. Super intense, smaller scale RMC. Packs a huge punch. Tons of amazing airtime throughout. I will say the rides I got in July 2025 were actually a bit too much. This sentiment was shared with other people I know that rode it with me and people that were there shortly before that. I actually thought the rides were too painful. For some reason, it is absolutely just hauling even more now than when I rode it in 2019. Nevertheless, Twisted Timbers is one phenomenal RMC. Number 5, Voyage at Holiday World. Now, going back to what I was talking about with the Raven at the beginning of the video, there's definitely a little bit of an asterisk next to this one. While I have Voyage at my number 5 spot, I desperately need to get more rides on this because once again, I was at Holiday World in 2015 and that was it. So I got a few rides on the Voyage. I remember it being really rough when I was there. Apparently it runs really well now. Holiday World takes great care of their wooden coaster, so I'm sure it runs phenomenally. And I've also gotten more used to the wooden coaster roughness. I really don't mind it anymore like I used to. I also rode Voyage during the period of about 10 years where I fell out of the coaster enthusiast fandom. So I just kind of went when I was more of like a general public type goer. I loved my rides on the Voyage, but I desperately need to re-ride it. As it stands right now, I have it at number 5. And at the number 4 spot, I have Pantherian at Kings Dominion. Now, I didn't get to ride this in 2025 as it was still closed when I visited Kings Dominion, so my ranking of Pantherian is going off the many rides I got on it as Intimidator 305 in 2019. Do I really need to say anything about this? It's comfortable, smooth, it's intense, has a couple decent pops of airtime, but This is not a ride that's about the airtime. This is just about the sheer intensity. This ride hauls ass from start to finish, doesn't let up. A little bit on the shorter end for a Giga, but that's probably a good thing. As a lot of you probably know, this is a ride that worked a little bit too well, which was very fitting with its original name. In a weird way, probably a huge failure for King's Dominion. I'm so glad that they built this ride. I cannot believe Cedar Fair actually went through with building this thing. Somehow it happened, everything aligned, and I hope Pantherian's here to stay for many, many decades. It's truly one of a kind. Number 3, Fury 325 at Carowinds. I got lots of rides on Fury 325 back in 2019. My first couple rides, I did honestly feel underwhelmed compared to all the hype that I'd heard going into it. After many rides on it though, I definitely gained a big appreciation for it. It's a very intense ride, but not too intense like Pantherian or I-305, whatever you want to call it. But Fury is very intense, has lots of really good ejector airtime, especially for a B&M. Incredibly fast, obviously. The one downside is it does have that big drawn out helix in the last part of the ride, but it makes up for it with those last few hills where you just get ejected out of your seat. Fury is one amazing, incredibly long ride. It's about a minute from drops to break, almost 7,000 feet of track. I mean, this is just one of the most beautiful rides out there as well. Fury is a really special ride. I doubt we'll see another Giga like this built in North America, so this is something really special. Now, as I start talking about my number 2 coaster, Lightning Rod at Dollywood, we've got to address the elephant in the room. I went to Dollywood in 2019. Lightning Rod still had the launch, and from what I understand from people I know that have ridden it much more recently, with the launch and with the chain lift, it sounds like the launch really got weaker and weaker over time. I got a lot of rides on Lightning Rod when I was at Dollywood, and when I rode Lightning Rod, it was hauling. It was super intense. The launch was actually packed quite a bit of a punch. I really liked the launch. It's kind of disappointing it's not there. I almost don't want to ride it the way it is now. Obviously, I will if I go to Dollywood and it's open. You know, they had to do something with this because the downtime on it was just absolutely insane. So they had to do something to get it to where they could actually keep this thing open. So I get why they did it. But as it stands right now, Lightning Rod is my number 2 coaster based off my 2019 rides. And coming in at the number 1 spot, my favorite coaster, hands down, without a doubt, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. This has been my favorite coaster since I first rode it in 2018. Still blows me away every single time. I've been on it countless times. Of course, it's kind of went through the honeymoon period, everybody calling it their favorite. Then it kind of died down, and now there's a lot of people saying, oh, you know, it's fallen out of favor a little bit where, oh, you know, people were just hyping it up because it was new. But I've held steady ever since I first rode this. Steel Vengeance is without a doubt the best coaster I've ridden. It's incredibly long. I love a good long ride, and Steel Vengeance holds its speed really well throughout the ride. Incredible airtime throughout. Airtime. That's what Steel Vengeance is all about. Couple really good underrated inversions in my opinion as well. Has a good first drop, but that 200-foot drop gets overshadowed by all the great elements that follow on this ride. In my opinion, this is the perfect coaster for me. In 2026, I plan on riding a lot of new coasters, so we'll see how Steel Vengeance fares. But as it is right now, I believe Steel Vengeance will probably hold on to this number 1 spot. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're still around here at the end, just want to say I appreciate all of you for sticking with me. It's been a long time since I've done one of these ranking videos. My list has changed a lot. Like I said, riding many more coasters in 2026. I look forward to doing another one of these videos in next 8-9 months or whatever. Until the next video, this is Coaster Daddy. Bye.